You coming from headquarters?
Yes, I mean that's why the patties them still warm, you know. You know,
Yeah.
I don't travel with cold patty. I mean,
Wow.
if it's live people you're gonna find, then you travel with warm patty. If you're going to the cemetery, then you probably you travel with cold patties. You know.
Tower Isles frozen food have stepped up in a big way. They want to help Jamaica with its Ebola readiness. Yeah, man, and to tell us more, please help me to welcome the man called Trevor Smith,
Yes.
marketing specialist for Tower Isles. How you doing, sir?
Well, I'm doing good. You know, I like to classify myself as
Mhm.
the offensive coordinator.
Listen, I won't tackle you. I won't tackle you on that one, alright? Wow.
Well, I say that because every company have a general or a president,
Yeah.
but in order for things to get carried out and executed, you need a colonel out there or some general who is going to make sure that things get executed. And
Yeah, man.
sometimes I call myself the chief spokesman, sometimes I call myself the offensive coordinator, and sometimes even the defensive coordinator, depending on the circumstances.
Wow.
But the role changes as the situation changes. Let's put it that way.
Okay, okay.
You know,
Yeah, man. Well, I get the message, man.
Okay.
I get the message. Yeah, like when them say chief cook and buckle washer.
Exactly. I mean, if you really believe in the job and you have to you realize that you want to be done to a certain standard, then it means that there are no barriers to what you have to do. And maybe that's why the Ebola thing really kicked in like it did.
Alright.
You know.
Alright, speaking of the Ebola now, the reason why you're here, Tower Isles Frozen Food had recently purchased 20 thermometers.
Well, it's actually 10.
Oh, it's 10?
10 thermometers and 6,000 covers.
Okay.
But
Sent to
but-
Jamaica.
Yes, but let me also say that the reason why we were only able to purchase 10 is because that's all they had. There is a shortage of these things. There's a back order.
Wow.
Many countries were not using the type of thermometers that we're talking about. Therefore, you won't find a manufacturer without them stacked up in a warehouse waiting to go.
You could tell us a little bit about these equipment and their use.
Well, up to the point where Ebola kicked in, most of us were not conscious of thermoscan thermometers. I mean, we know that, yes, everybody go to a doctor, they, get a reading, or you have a child and they stick something in some part of them to get a reading. But because of this serious accuracy that is required, in this the Ebola detection situation, the thermometers can't they can't be wrong. You can't say sorry because the thermometer gave you a false reading. Sorry means too late. Sorry means too late for that person. It means too late for other people.
There's no room for mistake.
There's no room for error.
So speaking about no room for error now, how would you say these measures up to industry standard? I mean, are these some cheap second-hand knockoff?
No. Let me tell you. As scared as everybody is,
Yeah.
okay, taking shortcuts at this stage is not even something that even a dumb person would. Okay, I mean, listen, we still have not really have a good grasp as to the Ebola situation, and we are in the United States. We have seen, where people from the most highly recommended health organizations come on TV and said that, we're sorry.
Yeah.
And they're saying we're sorry to the families of people who have already died. Okay? So when you hear the experts, or who we thought were the experts saying, you're sorry, I'm sorry. If you're not scared, you got a problem. If I met somebody who just came back from one of the zones and he said, oh, I just came back, I say, okay, it's nice to see you, but I'm not sure that we're going to do the traditional hug and kiss thing. We're not going to be bumping shoulders like we like to do and putting our cheeks because we're just not sure.
Okay.
And even the person who is coming back is going to tell you they are not sure themselves.
Yeah, okay.
So we can't play brave, we can't bossy, we can't do all of those crazy things that say we are man so it doesn't matter and end up acting like a fool, not even realizing we're acting like a fool that we're going to be too late. We do not think that the process was 1% addressed in what we did, but it sets, at this point, what I realize has been a tone. Because the way that people has really jumped on it, the way that I see other countries responding to it, like UK said, okay, they're going to send down some. Toronto is addressing it. Organizations, health organizations, nursing organizations, everybody's saying, okay, we knew that it was a situation, but no, it's not something to talk about anymore. It's an action. It's action time.
We know that these equipment are, in fact, as you just mentioned, they're serious medical equipment. So can you share with us, the type of research and groundwork that, Tower has put into this, to make sure that you get the right stuff?
Okay, well, let me say that I have to call it a joint effort, because even as we express our interest in addressing and seeing a diaspora response, we still reached out to our government leadership here, which is our consulate, and actually, I would say that Chris, or our main assistant to our consul general at the consulate, he was, he dived right in and said, okay, Trevor, from a research point of view, and when you touch base with the people who manufacture the equipment, they themselves are going to tell you, because they are the experts really. They are going to tell you what is the best equipment they have available, what is the most durable equipment that they have available. So even though, they refer to as thermoscan thermometers, and they have different type of thermoscan thermometers. They have the ones that they say just point it at somebody's forehead if you're close enough and it reads your temperature. Of course, the batteries still have to be very good to do that. You have the ones that like what we got, which come with covers. So we had 10 thermometers and we had 6,000 covers. Figuring that 6,000 covers will last us, and would suffice if something popped up and give you enough time to get more. We are not experts, but we know that it's not only one type of equipment that can detect accurately the temperature, which red flags that you are in a serious transmitting zone. It doesn't mean that only one company makes this equipment.
Exactly.
Okay? So that is the situation that we have.
Same thing, different name.
Same thing, different name. Sometimes you're buying something is coming from this very same manufacturer, and it's on 5 different labels.
Absolutely.
So that is where the industry operates. So we can't get carried away by what is the name of the thing. The question is, does it meet the standards?
Speaking about standard now, we know that Jamaican have some serious temperature. So I mean, can them thing here manage the hard man temperature?
Well, you see, that is the beauty of it, because the thermoscan is not impacted by what's happening outside. I mean, when you take a product and the one that we have, you put the covers on and you put it in the hair. The good thing about put it in the hair is that the hair is an enclosed area. It does not get as hot as the temperature outside. It's an insulated area, so to speak. Okay, this is why even when you're doing a regular thermos test, they put the thermometer in your mouth, because again, your body temperature is going to be expected to be consistent. Inside, it's consistent. Okay. If you go above 97, 98, they say you have a fever. Okay, because inside is consistent. Now, of course, if you're walking in the snow or walking outside where it's 7 degrees and you walk in and you point it at your forehead, you expect that your forehead will be impacted by the temperature from outside. If it's 7 degrees in New York and you walk inside the house, you cannot expect your forehead to be saying you're 97 degrees or 98.
They didn't tell me that you was a doctor when I was coming up here.
Okay, so I'm just saying, you understand what I'm saying? So, and that is why you have to, we said that we had the perfect equipment and it was recommended. And even the ones that are said to be thermoscan, it was pointed, it's far less expensive than the one we had. So there seemed to be some justification on their part that this is what industrial grade could be used at the hospitals. It is something where if you have an emergency and you have to send an ambulance off to go pick up somebody, at least when they walk in and they do that test, the equipment that they're using is industry grade, it's accepted.
You know, how real and urgent you think the threat, this Ebola threat is for Jamaica?
Well, I think it's extremely urgent. I mean, I would say, code red.
Wow.
Code red. I say that because we see what the bigger countries, the larger countries, the countries with money are doing to protect their borders.
Mm-hmm.
Now they're making some serious decisions to do this. Yesterday it was reported that President Obama, planned to pledge $60 million US dollars to fight Ebola. Now when you hear a large country say that they're going to put that type of resource into fighting something that you as a small country is also exposed to, and you don't have any money,
Dangerous.
you are in red zone. Everybody's taking a bus to leave town and you're walking. You are in a red zone. Okay? So that's how I look at it. Because if something slips through on our end, just slip through, and you hear one whisper that something would slip through into Jamaica, our tourism industry comes to a screeching halt. One person comes into Texas and they start backtracking. Who did he come in contact with? Do we have those resources?
We're supposed to do that. No.
What about hazmat suits? What about hazmat suits? Hazmat suits are in back order right now with all the manufacturers. As a diaspora, we have always had an urgency to act. Okay? As Jamaicans, we have always had an urgency to act. We have history of things affecting our countries. When hurricane comes in, and when hurricane is coming, when we hear that category 5 is coming, we don't wait until our people get wiped out to talk about putting barrels and containers together. We know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
Okay?
Exactly.
So we have always been proactive. Always have been. So when you think in context of, yes, the remission that goes down, yes, it plays a great part in boosting our economy. But 1 ounce of prevention, is better than all the cure
Sure.
that we could try to think about doing in the future.
We're talking to Trevor Smith from Tower Isles Frozen Foods. Let me ask you, in your opinion, for a friendly place like Jamaica, you think what would be the best way to deal with, the situation of Ebola? Like, how do you deal with people, when we depend on tourism and this and that,
Well, I think the reassurance is really what starts, and where it starts and where it should end. As long as people who are coming in are comfortable that where they're coming from, the process is not taken more seriously than where they're going, they're going to enjoy themselves. Okay? That is so everything we do to let them know that we are spending every ounce of time and resource we have to make sure that they are as safe in our arms down there as anywhere they're coming from, then the stream will continue to flow. But if they have one feeling that we don't take it seriously, then it's a totally different ballgame. So yes, we have to approach it from the standpoint that we take it more serious than them. We have that standard that we have established out there when it comes to track. When it comes to our music, reggae music, it's dominating the world. We don't come in second, we come in first. When it comes to our coffee, we don't come in second, we are the world's most expensive. We come in first.
Yeah, man.
When it comes to or rating our people from a friendliness perspective, we are in the top 7. We don't take back seats. We don't like back seats. We are people who have always fight for some of the things that we call our heritage. We
Man,
go,
even the party, down to the party,
Well, especially the party. Especially the party. And I say this, especially the patty, because the patty is the only food product we have that came out of Jamaica that has made it onto the American food platform. Think of it. You walk into a supermarket and they have 10,000 items there, and there's only one dominant food product from the Caribbean that you can say when you're going to Walmart, you find it.
everywhere.
When you're going to Kroger, you find it. When you're going to pizzerias, you find it. When you're going to chicken franchise, you find it. When you go to ballparks, you find it. It's the only product from the Caribbean. Okay? So when I get calls from my friends, they're not necessarily from Jamaica. They're from Guyana, from Trinidad, from Barbados. And they say, Trevor, we saw the product in Kroger. Yes!
Yeah.
Because for that, they means that they are represented. Just like when our athlete wins, the Caribbean rejoices.
Everybody win.
People seem to forget that we grew up talking about West Indian cricket, not Jamaican cricket. West Indian cricket. And we fight and we cheer our teams as a Caribbean people, as West Indians. Nobody can in the Caribbean can afford to be less protected.
Yeah.
Okay? Jamaica cannot be more protected than Guyana or Trinidad or St. Kitts or Grenada because what, they're smaller islands? No.
One go down, it affects everybody.
It affects everybody.
Politician, reporters, what should they be saying to the Jamaican people?
Well, this is a very, very important question. And I say this because right now they have another problem with the Chicopee. Okay? And they are not really dealing with it from my perspective properly. I say that because when you have a public castigation taking place in Parliament and the Ministry of Health being chastised publicly and being attacked and assaulted by verbally, it sends a message to the country that we don't know what we're doing, or what you're doing is not safe. It's not good for them.
Not taken seriously.
That is, you are not dealing with the problems. Therefore, suddenly people are not comfortable and they are not secure anymore. This country comes under attack right now. Everybody forget about Barack Obama. You're going to find Republicans and Democrats sitting down to say, okay, let's put the politics aside and let's take care of the problem. When we finish, we can go back to the
country first.
Country first. You play the cards. You don't talk about reshuffle. You play the cards that we are dealt. And when you put your card on the table, nobody takes it off. If you have something, you add it to the table. But you don't criticize what is on the table. If you put something on the table and it's a better idea, it is going to automatically replace what you have on the table.
You mentioned a while ago about, how the Caribbean islands, how, every island is sort of
connected.
Now, say for example now, Jamaica is not prepared. In your opinion, what could possibly happen?
Well, if Jamaica is not prepared, it is gonna send a bad message to the other islands. I say this because Jamaica has always, as Jamaica goes, the Caribbean goes. Yes, we have our petty jealousies and our petty arguments and things like that. But whether it be cricket you're going to play, if Jamaica is not strong represented on that cricket squad, it weaks. So Jamaica has to step up and play a leadership role in stabilizing the Caribbean. And from what I'm getting back from some of the leadership in the health department down there, they really don't want to see all the other island on their own. Then you establish a central point in the Caribbean from which the control of anything that pops up will be addressed.
Yeah.
So if you're going to have incubators, then it's going to serve the territory, not serve the island.
Should Jamaica base their Ebola fighting or the Ebola preparedness based on the American standard? Is it?
Without a doubt.
Okay.
It has to, you have to match the American standard. Okay? And yes, you're going to ask the question, how can you do that when America has so much resources and Jamaica is under manners by the IMF? You ask yourself the question, is there any money set aside, even in the present situation with the IMF, to address this? And we don't know the answer. What we do know, however, is that Jamaicans are not all resident in Jamaica. That we have more Jamaicans living out of Jamaica than are in Jamaica. And therefore, this is where we are now faced with the chance to step up. Okay? Okay? And make our island as functional as the way they're doing it in the United States. This is what diaspora is all about. The word diaspora means, in essence, that you protect and uplift the homeland.
Yeah, man.
And we are saying, okay, they're under threat. We might be a little bit more comfortable because we think that the US is moving forward rapidly to make sure that we are not exposed. There are only 5 airports in the United States right now where people from Africa who are coming from some of these regions are allowed to land. 5 airports. Okay, so even if you're not planning to go there, you're gonna go there. And this way, they can put a damper and put it under control. We need to have even the ability to say the same type of, speak the same language. We only have 2 airports, so it's not as bad. But the thing is, it might be easier therefore for us to equip these 2 airports. Because we only have 2.
But speaking about equipping the airports, you know, the thermometers, right?
Yeah.
Where are they mainly going to be
used? Well, what we said those were industrial grade. In other words, you know, they can be used in hospitals. They can be pretty much used anywhere. They are rugged, industrial grade equipment. What they're looking to do, I think, is to get the more advanced equipment. Because we have to bear in mind that, you know, if you have 3,000 people coming off a cruise ship, when it docks, you know, you're not going to be walking out there with some thermometers and go bam, 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 checking. You know? I mean, so you're hoping that some due diligence is being done along the way. Yeah. But by the same token, if you do have something that scares you a little bit, you would like to say that you're in a position to have a rapid response. Let's put it that way. We're not saying that we solved the problem. We're not saying that we have even stopped what we are about to do or we want to do. But what we're saying is that now the diaspora sees the light. You know, you have a pile of wood, you want to light a fire, you take the match, you strike the match, and one log gets lit. Yeah, and then someone sees the fire, and the fire begins to grow. Yeah. This is weird. So we just lit the fire for the diaspora.
And what they said there make a very important point too, you know, because, you know, with the machine, because in the end, everybody want to be safe. No matter what you hear them say,
everybody
they want to be safe and feel secure.
Yeah. So for me, I mean, my message to the diaspora would be, you know, let's do this like we used to do down in Jamaica in the good old days. When we want to build a church, what we do? Everybody make pledge. Everybody pledge. I remember I was 2 years old, I'm pledging. Like, you know, everybody pledging. Oh, you pledge? Yes, I pledge 2 shillings. Everybody pledges. Okay? And it is strange because just because you pledge as a child, when your parents give you a pledge to go put in the plate, and you learn what? You learn the act of giving. Our people down in Jamaica needs to know one thing, that we have their backs. Okay.
Yeah, man. Alright, people, so on the couch right now is a man called Trevor Smith. Yeah, man, from Tower Isles, Patties. Yeah. We know that giving back, you know, is nothing new to Tower Isles. He was recently honored and for outstanding community service. All
yes.
Right. How does that feel to be honored in such a way?
It was the first Consulate General Jamaican Heritage Award that was offered. And I say that, you know, they could not have done and offered it to a better company. I don't think there are many people who disagrees with that. Tower has always been a service-oriented company, even though it's a business. Sometimes people don't understand what it took for Tower to be what it is. Tower started in the 1960s, just a couple of years after we got independence in Jamaica. Those times, we never had a immigration trek coming to New York, or people were going to London and to England. We were pretty much, we're a colony of the British Empire. That is where the boats used to take our people. So that is where the English population of Jamaicans developed pre-independence. When after we got independent, that's when you find the migration really started to the Americas. So 2 years, 3 years after independence, when you went to Brooklyn, there would be no Jamaican restaurant there because there hardly any Jamaicans were here. Tower Isle was the first Jamaican restaurant in Brooklyn.
Interesting.
Yes. And it was started by 2 of our professional people who at that time found it, proper to come to America to market their skills. Barry Levi, who was a fashion designer working for Lords and Taylor, and Earl Levi, her husband, who was an engineer. Those qualifications in those days, you come here, you can get great jobs and make good living. But there's one thing missing: the cultural foods. Yeah. No ackee and saltfish, no hard dough bread, no bun and cheese, at Easter. I mean, that's how can you live without those things if you are a culturally connected person? So they actually gave up their established careers and started the first Jamaican restaurant in Brooklyn. And I'll tell you this, the story goes that people would come down from Boston, Connecticut, Philadelphia, New Jersey to buy their hard dough bread and pack up their car and take back. Yes, when they come, they were shopping for everybody. Okay? They were shopping for everybody to take back.
There's one place to shop.
Listen, winter, spring, summer, it doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, I remember I was speaking to my friend Paulette Willoughby, who is the chair for the Jamaican Independence Ball Committee, and she said, Trevor, in those days we used to stand up in the snow, and wait for the patties and the hard dough bread to bake. And there were not Jamaicans around. As a matter of fact, when she and Una Clark used to hear there was a new Jamaican down in King's Plaza, they go visit them. Okay, so I'm telling you, that was how scarce Jamaicans were. Wow. Okay, now of course you spend a lot of time avoiding Jamaicans. That's a different thing. But I'm saying is that is where Tower came from, and they got into trouble because when people came, some of them who had the little restaurant now it in Boston and a little restaurant in Philadelphia. Now they started taking back box of patties, and when they come, they pick up 10 boxes of patties to go back to sell. And then, of course, the USDA inspector walked in one day and said, what do you guys think you're doing? So we are a bakery. We say, yes, but you can't sell patties to business. You need a USDA license and inspector in your place just to do that. So, Earl Levi, being who he was, a typical Jamaican, think that the man was coming there to get some change. So he stick his hand in his pocket and pull out a bankroll. And the man said, what do you think that is? You're shut down. Okay, some say this, that was in the 60s.
Yeah.
Okay, so we had to get now organized properly as a full-fledged USDA manufacturing facility so that we could actually sell things that people could go and resell. So that is where Tower came from, as the first Jamaican restaurant in Brooklyn. And I'll tell you another story, because since we're on stories. Those days, of course, you couldn't find any Jamaicans to work for you either. Because there was not, there's hardly around. So if you want to make patty and hard dough bread, it's not like you're going to find Jamaicans who say, okay, you can hire me. So I won't tell you, we have heard about the moonshine running that used to take place in this country when moonshine was, during Prohibition.
Yeah, man.
Well, I wouldn't like to tell you about some of the dry runs or the wet runs that were made from Florida when they're picking up 2 or 3 guys from the apple picking plantation, these farmers, because we used to come over here and taking them to New York to come make patties. But
wow.
But I'm just saying,
very interesting.
That's the only place you could find Jamaicans where the guys would come up to pick cotton, apple, tomato, and other things in the south. So yes.
So at the time when you hear say man run off.
So I'm just saying. So I'm just telling you that.
Tell a little bit about Tower Isles today. Like what are you doing today as far as business? Like who do you
Supply with products?
supply and all that. Give me a little overview.
Okay, well, I would like to say that if there's a supermarket between Boston and Florida that does not have Jamaican style beef patties, they missed the boat. If they don't have tow oil, they miss, then they need eyeglasses or something like that. They should have tow oil. But it does not mean that every one of them has tow oil patties. What it has established, however, is that since tow oil started, even with partners who have come to join us in the patty business, we have made Jamaican style patty pretty much of a mainstream item on the entire East Coast. Jamaican farmers grows our peppers. This has been going on for nearly 50 years. From we started, the more patties we sell, the more peppers they grow. Even with some of the other guys who came behind us, they jump right on the same bandwagon. The more patties they sell, the more peppers they bought from Jamaica. I applaud them for that, and I bow and respect them for that. They got on that train, and it is help our pepper market in Jamaica.
Wow. That's a very interesting way of doing business, where you take your country in consideration.
Well,
That okay, we are help ourselves, but along the way we have to help the country also and help the people in Jamaica.
Well, I like to say, that the community after nearly 50 years, we're coming up to our 50th anniversary very soon next year. After 50 years, the community has realized one thing. But they realized it after we realized it. We realized that they had our back. And they realized that we have their backs. It's as simple as that. We sponsor the Caribbean Cup Soccer league that takes place in Brooklyn, in Canarsie every summer, 14-week tournament. We sponsor the Jamaican team that is brought up from Jamaica to play the best soccer that takes place in New York during the summer. Okay, many of our players on the Jamaican team are guys who end up playing for the Reggae Boys. A lot of our players have contract with professional teams. They're always there scouting our games. Pen relays, Team Jamaica Bickle, our athletes coming up. We have been in this partnership with Team Jamaica Bickle and led by Howie Clear for the last 20 years. We are not going anywhere. We are heavily invested in that. So whatever it takes, we have always said that we are going to do whatever we can to make sure it happens. That's not going to change. Yeah. Our independence activities, we have always been heavily invested in that. To Montreal, to London, to Miami. And I will ask people, do you know a Jamaican doctor? And they say, nah. How about a Jamaican lawyer? They say, Jamaica have lawyers. But when I ask them this one question, do you know where there is a Jamaican restaurant?
Yeah, I know.
Yes. Right down to the block, right down to the guy inside there with gap tooth who is running it. I have utmost respect for those Jamaican restaurants, followed closely by our hairdressers and the people who does our hairs.
The fashion
Our fashion.
People who fix me up.
Yes, the people who fix me up. Okay, because again, they tell you that we are present, and most of the time they also tell you that we are independent.
Yeah, man, true.
Yes.
True. So, where in the diaspora you're located?
We're in Brooklyn. Atlantic Avenue, we own the block that we have our building on. It's pretty much of a landmark. No matter where you go, in California to Texas, people always come and tell you, oh, we know where the plant is. Yeah, man. And I always marvel at that, because most of the time I can't tell where anybody's plant is. Yeah. And people come out of the blue tell me, oh, Trevor, I know where your plant is.
I passed the plant earlier.
You understand? You always get that. When we started, we like to say we started Brand Jamaica. And people say, Trevor, you're too boasty. But no, that's not a boast. It's a fact. When we went to Washington after they sort of shut us down and tell us to get our act together to start sell in mass to the public, we went to register the patty. And they said, okay, what do you want to register? Miss Levi say, I want to register my patty. She said, the USDA said, listen, let me explain something to you. Because, typical Jamaicans who we are, we think we know everything, or we think we run things, so they have to let us know who run things. They said, let me explain something to you. This is not a patty. A patty is a round thing that you... patty is a round thing that you between two buns, put a little cheese in it, and you call it a hamburger. That's a patty. I say, listen, this is a Jamaican style patty. You see, you want to call it Jamaican style patty? Okay, we will call it a Jamaican style patty. And this is the first product in this country, the only one I know in the world that is identified by the name of a country.
Wow.
Deep.
Wow.
Jamaican
This is
style patty.
Wow. I'm getting a lot of history here, man.
Okay.
So the state, I know patty this.
No, you can't call it a patty. You can't register it as a patty. We registered it as a Jamaican style patty. That was when Brand Jamaica started.
Wow.
Then we took the map of Jamaica. The map of Jamaica. And that little island over there we call Tower Island that is off coast. And you made a little tower. And we put the tower beside the map of Jamaica. And that became the Tower Eye logo for the last 50 years.
Wow.
Brand Jamaica. As a diaspora, we are eternally grateful for the media presence we have.
Yeah, man.
30 years ago, if we want to get a message out to our people, we could not do that. Not on radio,
True.
not on television, not even in newspapers. We had no way of communicating. Thank God for technology. No, we do. Because what you own today would have cost you $1 million 30 years ago.
Absolutely right.
Our kids are first and second generation kids. The only way that they're going to bond with the culture is by having access to this type of platform.
And the information.
And this type of information.
Information and the educating the people is crucial.
Crucial.
You know, and it's such a great thing, you know, that, you know, you're coming here and you share, you know, that's just the story about how you started, or how you started, and all that. It's enough to motivate any young person.
Well, that's it. Well,
any young Jamaican, you know, would hear that story.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that, because trust me, there is room. There is room at this top that people think we have reached. There's a lot of room. There's a lot of room. And we cannot afford for our second generation to stop hustling like our first generation hustled. Okay? I mean, listen, everybody knows that 30 years ago, most of us had 4 or 5 jobs. Okay. You understand me?
Yeah.
We cannot afford for them not to. I mean, the DNA must pass down to our second and third generation. Okay?
Absolutely.
It must pass down, that they must realize that we believe in independence. You know?
I can tell that you're a brother with just vast knowledge, and you know, you hard worker. I can tell that. You know, tell me a little bit about your background, your personal background.
Well, as a man from Portland, you know, we from the mountains are special because we used to have these crazy stories we used to listen to about the Maroons. You know, I realized that, you know, they spent, you know, we thought we were the fastest runners up in the mountains even when we were 10, 12 years old, because we said that the British were chasing us for 100 years and they couldn't catch us. Okay? So I remember when Donald Corey went to the Olympics and, you know, and won his gold medal, my grandfather said that boy has to be a Maroon. Okay? Because running was what the history was all about. They chased us and they just couldn't catch us. Yes. You know, we come from a place where there's never a truck that passed us that we couldn't hop. Okay? We chased down trucks traveling at 40, 50 miles per hour. Even though the driver is trying his best for us not to catch the truck, we have to catch it and get a hop. I still have to have my peer and buller because, you know, you can't hide. You know, you can't be as good as you think you are now and think that those things were not a part of the motivation process, you know, or the stirring process. Everything that you have encountered in your past makes you the man you are today.
You ever see the banana boat?
Yeah, we used to take banana. We used to take banana to the boats, you know, and you know. Listen, let me tell you, when you hear songs being sing like "Come, Mr. Tallyman, tally me banana," I mean that's things we used to do. You understand? I mean that was not a
That's not fairy tale.
No, that's not fairy tale. That was real life. That was real life. We lived that.
Night and daylight. Yes. Daylight, you want to go get some sleep.
No, well, you see, the thing is that as young boys, we couldn't get the rum, but you still had to do the work. So I'm saying is, those rich places we came from, we had no money, we were the richest person in the world. We were such a spiritual community, that you come Sunday, nobody's home. Even the thief gone to church. Because everybody, we're very, involved in that spiritual background, okay? And so service was a natural thing. When I was at Portland High School, I was actually trained by the Canadian Red Cross as a first aid instructor, even when I was in high school. And after I left, I went back to Canada. Then I started teaching first aid, to students there, just to carry on the tradition of. We didn't even know why we were doing it, but it was a good thing to do. So, since they came on as volunteers to help us and teach us those things, we line up and we learn. Move on to Kingston, join Kingston JCs. Again, it's all about community. That's all you do.
You've been aiding for a long time.
Yes. So when I came up here, I was a Caribbean American Chamber of Commerce with Roy Astic, doing what I could. Joined the Brooklyn Chamber of Commerce, doing what I could. When I went to Atlanta, joined the Atlanta Jamaican Association, doing what I could. Come back to New York. It's a continuing process. All those things, I think have shaped me into who I am. And it's not for my benefit. I think it's take me to the right place at the right time to serve the diaspora, to serve the community.
I just want to say thank you, man.
And thank you too.
And it's such a great thing, Tower Island have done for Jamaica.
Well,
it's such a great gift, for our country. To help our country.
I know that people say I'm a little bit off the wall because of the way I look at things, and maybe they're right. All of us are soldiers for our country, because all of us are supposed to stand up and fight.
How can people hear you on the radio?
Well, I normally do radio in Georgia on futuremovementradio.net. futuremovementradio.net. Okay. Sometimes I do radio with my Noel dance master, on Astron Avenue, on the Money Train, 5 o'clock, WPIP, 5 p.m. We also sponsor the program that is done by our former Consul General, Jenny Brown Mesper. She does a Sunday program from 4 to 5 that Tower sponsors. And sometimes, I'm always popping up in places because, yes, I do guest, I do get invited to talk about, and to share share some of the dreams we have and some of the hopes and some of the interaction we have with the community. So I try to be that, I say, chief spokesman.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
The handyman.
Yes. Well, yes, the handyman, As Jamaicans, we must remember this. And I try to not forget it, that our national heroes, apart from some of those who have come along a little bit later, all our national heroes at one point, before the Musters and the Michael joined the troop, none of them died in their beds. They were all hanged because they fought.
Died in mission.
Yes. From Nanny coming down, they never died comfortably in bed where people could come along and, from Bogle to Sharpen, they all were fighters who
went down in battle.
We must never forget that.
One day I taste the battle, lick me, man. I go taste the battle, drain out and lick me, sorry,
Okay.
I want to hear.
Everywhere, Trevor, sit down, I walk into Italian, the pizzerias. Oh, man. Everybody, sit down. Oh, you want some stromboli? You want some... Listen, if I keep on eating like you guys think I should eat, I will be fat, okay? And I have no interest in that. Most of our people, they have been here for over 25 years. Some of them, the last time, The last job there was on the farm work down in Florida. You know?
So interesting. Like I remember when I was back in Jamaica, you know, the farm work thing and this and that.
Yeah.
And you just put a little spin pan in there, just really make me understand. You know?
You see, our history is so important.
Yeah, man.
And sometimes it's the little things that really defines your history. Oh. Or we talk about the days when you'd have a man out front now, and his job is to look out for the immigration inspectors, because from a security guard, because from he see somebody who looks suspicious and him blow a whistle, when they come in the plant, you don't see nobody. Everybody gone. Everybody running to cover. And the story is that, you know, there was a day when one guy couldn't really make it to out the back door, so everyone inside the freezer. And a hour and a half after, when he came out, he was frozen inside. so I'm just saying, I could talk about this company for the entire day.
So when he came out, it was like frozen food.
He was frosted all over. We talk about our people who are illegal. When Towal was shipping patties to stores, they were illegal because they were not qualified to be shipping patties to supermarkets.
Maybe almost everybody was illegal then. Almost every Jamaican was illegal.
So we can.
There's no, and the application, there probably was no box to say, well,
listen, the amount of guys who had full-time job just making social security. You understand? We can't sit back because things have changed right now and pretend that, you know, everything was rosy-dosy. We need to let our children know what and how it was. The thing is,
it's something you bring the party and I'm giving all the information.
That's right. No. And that is where Towal has really evolved. Where, as a pioneer company, even when I listen to my friend Lowell Arton talking and Vinny talking, Vinny will give more credit. Vinny will say, if it was not for Towal, I would never have a business. Lowell will be a little more arrogant and, you know, with, you know, stealth and like, you know, well, I have 100.
Go in denial.
Yeah, go in denial. Or, you know, or try to separate himself as to, you know, so he will say, okay, we've been in the party business for 65 years because my father used to have a party shop down in Jamaica. Him go on those like tangents to bolster his ears. I'm like, you don't have to do that. Listen, man, if my credit was bad, I know I got good credit. Hey, I'm only talking about, I got good credit, man. Yeah, it used to be bad, but I'm good now.